Top of the morning, top of the morning. You heard me? It's top of the morning. You heard me? So, and it's a hell of a morning because I mean we woke up this morning. You heard me? We blessed. You heard me? Just to see another day. You heard me? And you gotta count your blessings, not your problem. Roof over your head, transportation. Thank Him in advance for whatever you've been praying for because God said we got to pray without ceasing. See, and that's what I'm about to talk about this morning. You heard me? Consistent and persistence bring forth resistance. Listen again. Consistency and persistence bring forth resistance. Yeah, we got to have a prayer life like that. We got to have a consistent prayer life like that so we can lay up there and get out with prayers and so God can release what He got for us. Amen. Yeah, and we're going to go to the word this morning because that's why I got to go at with you. You heard me? Because I was going there last night, but I got to lay up there and let y'all know, like, we got to get our prayers on a consistent type of time. You know what I'm saying? We got to pray. We got to. And you know why God take prayer so serious? You know why God take prayer so serious? Because that's the only way we could communicate with Him. You heard me? Now He could communicate with us all kind of ways. You heard me? But prayer, that's the only way we could go straight to Him. You heard me? And He take that serious. You heard me? That's why prayer so powerful. So I'm about to give you a scenario about a scenario. And I'm going to go in the Bible when Jesus was talking. You heard me? I'm going to go to Matthews. You heard me? Look. I'm going to go to Luke 18 chapter, verse 1. I'm going to read verse 1 all the way to 8. You heard me? All the way to 8. You heard me? And He spoke a parable unto them to this end, that men ought to always pray and not to faint. Saying there was a saying, there was in the city a judge which feared not God, neither regarded man. And there was a widow in that city, and she came unto him, saying, avenge me of my adversary. And he would not for a while. Like he kept shutting it down, you hear me? But afterward, he said within himself, though I fear not God, nor regard man, yet because this widow troubled me, I will avenge her, lest by her continual coming, she weary me. Pay attention. And the Lord said, hear what the unjust judge said, and shall not God avenge His own elect which cry day and night unto Him, though He bear long with them? I tell you that He will avenge them speedily. Nevertheless, when the Son of Man cometh, shall He find faith on earth? When Jesus come, who been praying like that? You heard me? But we ain't gonna use that part. You heard me? It's like this here. You heard me? When you got a consistent prayer life, you consistent, you heard me? You heard me? Like you really consistent. God see you consistent. God gonna bless your game, you heard me? But you gotta get consistent with that, you heard me? You gotta get consistent with that. You seen what the unjust judge said? The unjust, he said, look, they said I had an unjust, there was a city judge, you heard me? He was unjust. He ain't even fear God. You heard me? Ain't even fear God. Like, toe up, you heard me? But the woman kept coming. You heard me? The widow kept coming to where he like, yeah, but you keep coming, you heard me? I'm going to go ahead and bless your game, you heard me? So the bottom line is this here, man. Look, the only way up is to pray up. And the only way you're going to come up, you got to go down. Amen? So you got to stay prayed up out here in this walk, you heard me? And not just in this walk, you hear me? We got to consistently stay prayed up so we can talk to God, so God can continue to guide us in the right direction. Continue to talk to us, let us know who He is. Put the word in our spirit so He can put His spirit in our words, you heard me? Because we going to need Him, you heard me? You know the times we living in now. You heard me? You see what times we living in now, you heard me? And I'm trying to shake them back because people don't have a consistent prayer life. You got to get back. We got to get back to that. Consistency and persistence brings forth resistance. You know how you kept going that old girl till you got her? You kept hollering at her, you heard me? Because you let her know, look, I'm trying to get at you, you heard me? Like this, I want you heard me? So you got to go at God like that. You heard me? You got to go at God like that. You got to live up there, you got to be consistent with your prayer life, you heard me? Yeah, you heard me? And you got to know, like, He watching. You heard me? Yeah, and you know, faith is the evidence. Faith is the evidence of things hoped for, The evidence of things not seen, you heard me? So you got to lay up that walk by faith, not by sight, you heard me? I don't care how it's looking, you heard me? You know you got faith in God, you know God could do anything, you heard me? You know God hear everything, see everything, He know everything, you heard me? But you know God could do anything. You know if He made Jesus turn the water into wine, split the Red Sea, you heard me? Swallow Jonah up and spit him out, this still the same God. Full of miracles, you heard me? But this morning, I'm encouraging you this morning, you heard me? You got to get you a prayer life. You got to be consistent at that, you heard me? Long as you keep praying and you keep pushing out shit, you heard me? Guess what? Guess what? That's what prayer and perseverance go together. You got to pray and push. I don't care how it's looking, you heard me? And they going to have people that come in your life, even the closest one to you. You heard me? People you think your friends, they going to be attacking you. The devil will use them up. You hear me? And you got to be mindful of this. Just because people going to tripping don't make you go to tripping, you hear me? Some people you really got to cut them off, man. You got to, because they not on your level. You hear me? You got to cut them off. I don't care how people feel or nothing no more, you hear me? Yeah, because it's like this now, you hear me? People so crazy now, you hear me? They just think, all right, we going to do that and I'm going to come back around them like a few more months later. Like, no, man, stick to the script. You know what you was doing, man. You hear me? And the people who be doing that stuff, they don't like nothing done to them. You hear me? They don't like nobody play with their kids, you hear me? But when stuff go to happen, they say, why this happen? You know how you living. So let's be mindful of that. Stop living like animals and expecting to get blessed like kings and queens. You heard me? Come on, man. Conduct yourself in a manner like you want, like you supposed to conduct yourself. We all adults. We all grown. You heard me? Do humans make mistakes? Of course. But are they supposed to live like animals? Hell no. Come on, man. Let's balance it. Let's get back to that. But we got to get our prayer life back so we can live there, be full of the spirit most of the time. Ain't nobody walk in the spirit all day but Jesus Christ. But the more you feed your spirit, the stronger you make it, you hear me? The stronger you gonna get, you hear me? So let's get back to praying, you hear me? And be consistent with that, you hear me? Because if you consistent, God gonna bless your game. If you know this unjust judge, you know the woman kept going at him, and he like, all right, and he was wicked. So God, you heard me, you know he full of love, you heard me? He see you really sincere with that, and you keep praying, he gonna bless you, you heard me? So get a consistent prayer life, you heard me? So you can see God consistently move in your life. Amen? Stay up, stay focused, you heard me? Bro, I love all y'all.